A very beautiful morning to you. This is Big Heart Radio 92.1 Asaba. I am Marvelous Acme and I'm welcoming you to today's edition of the Daily Brief. Thank God it's Friday. And this will be our last edition for the week as usual. And today we're just going to take a look at headlines that have made it to top national newspapers. And we will be taking a look at The Nation, Guardian, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Pointer newspaper. All right, beginning with The Pointer newspaper this morning, we have 35th anniversary Delta in sustainable growth era. 35th anniversary Delta in sustainable growth era. That's coming from Oborewori. As it says, Dafinoni, others call for unity and salute successive governments. All right, that's on the Pointer newspaper. Okay, the Pointer newspaper, we have Oborewori celebrates Delta's remarkable progress at 35. Oborewori celebrates Delta's remarkable progress at 35. And we have the Delta State's Governor, Sheriff Oborewori. Yesterday, the state commemorated 35 years anniversary. So here is Oborewori during a Thanksgiving. He's appreciating God for everything he has done so far for the people of Delta, 35 years and coming. It's not, it's one of the youngest states in Nigeria, but so far, when we look at what we've achieved in 35 years, can we say we've done well enough, or can we say that we could have done better? What are those things that we could have done better and all of that? So 35 years, it's not an easy feat. We've had successive governments and all of that. And here we are today celebrating 35th anniversary. So that was yesterday. Okay, that's on the Pointer newspaper. We also have on the Pointer, Delta State government to boost emergency medical response. Delta State government to boost emergency medical response, and that's talking about the state government having planned to intensify efforts to address funding bottlenecks affecting emergency medical transportation and treatment with a view to strengthening the state's emergency response system. I don't know if it's something that we're used to around here when you have an emergency issue to call the hospital to come pick you up with an emergency van. Usually we just find our way to the hospital and that's it. I don't know if it's because over time we've not had access to this or it's not something that we're used to. I think most times the only emergency trucks that we would see on the road and okay, there's an emergency truck would be probably the fire truck. Aside that, the ambulances and all of that, it's not something we're used to. We just have a way of trying to find ourselves there. And this is because we're Nigerians. We don't have so much faith in terms of this. We don't have so much faith in some of these things, so we'd rather just find a way to get it done ourselves instead of saying, "Oh, I'm waiting around for the hospital to come pick me up. Why don't I find my way to the hospital?" Which would be better, and then I'm sure you would get help urgently, much more than waiting around for the vehicles to come pick you up. But then the state is saying they are ready to invest in that. All right, and also on the Pointer newspaper this morning, we have Tinubu directs comprehensive football reform as NFF leadership resigns. Tinubu directs comprehensive football reform as NFF leadership resigns. All right, that's it on the Pointer newspaper this morning. Let's move on to the Punch, where we have Tinubu APC governors move to fix campaign list crisis. Tinubu APC governors move to fix campaign list crisis. Tinubu governors APC heavyweights hold 2-day strategy meeting in Aso Rock. And we also have APC may drop controversial chieftains as PCC list undergoes review. APC may drop controversial chieftains as the Presidential Council campaign list undergoes review. We have APC plans more social interventions ahead of 2027 poll after $1 billion scheme. APC plans more social interventions ahead of 2027 poll after $1 billion scheme. We have that on the Punch newspaper, page 2. Also, we have federal government states targets cheaper transport fares with CNG bus rollout. That's on page 2. Federal government states targets cheaper transport fares with CNG bus rollout. Why is this coming now? Is this because of the elections? Because, I mean, there was a whole lot of buzz around the CNG buses during the first year of the president when he announced that fuel subsidy is gone. And after that, he said that one of the palliative measures would be to have CNG buses operating on our roads. But I don't think that I've seen anyone in Delta. Let me not speak for the whole Delta. I stay in Asaba. So let me say that I don't think I've seen anyone around the Asaba Okpanam axis, or maybe I am just unable to identify them. But I don't think I've hopped on any vehicle to work and then turned out to be a CNG bus. And then we talked about conversion centers, people to train, and how it would have been better. But over time, it just didn't receive so much attention like it did earlier. And now, just a few months to the elections, and we're getting that federal government and states are targeting cheaper transport fares with CNG bus rollout. Okay, let's see how this plays out. Suspected thugs foil Ondo Speaker's impeachment. Suspected thugs foil Ondo Speaker's impeachment. So thugs foiled the impeachment of a speaker. The kind of stories we hear in Nigeria, I mean, I don't even know how to react to this one. Anyways, on the Punch, we have 2027 APC opposition clash over federal government's $1 billion household palliative. 2027 APC opposition clash over federal government's $1 billion household palliative. And we have WAEC result crisis worsens as officials allege irregularities and glitches. So this time around, it's been irregularities and glitches. While the last WAEC, we had issues of late arrival of papers. This time around, we didn't get reports like that, but now we're getting reports of glitches. Okay. Nigeria. It's like one new day, we have a whole new problem. Away from that, to The Guardian, we have football under scrutiny. NFF shops for new era managers amid global accountability probe. Football under scrutiny as NFF shops for new era managers amid global accountability probe. And that's on page 4 of The Guardian newspaper. We also have on The Guardian, $1 billion social fund. ADC accuses Tinubu of panic response to subsidy removal plot. That's on the news, page 3. $1 billion social fund. ADC accuses Tinubu of panic response to subsidy removal plot. At this point, I don't think I would blame anyone for feeling this. Well, Nigerians, we just have there's a beautiful way that our minds work. So yes, it's a good thing that just before elections, a whole lot is going on in the country. $1 billion social fund, and then at the end of the day, I'm sure when we ask for where subsidy money has been invested, all these are going to be listed as how the subsidy money was spent, and ADC is calling the government out. NHRC ARN demand arrest of Abuja Council boss over vote APC or relocate threats. NHRC ARN demand arrest for Abuja Council boss over vote APC or relocate threats. Is it not too early for this? Why is this becoming a thing in Nigeria? Even before the last elections, we also had this going on in Lagos State. There was a whole lot on the internet about what happened in Lagos, and now we are having this in Abuja, on the state, the Federal Capital Territory. I mean, I don't think that if it wasn't Abuja, it would make it okay. But how do you threaten people and then you ask them to leave if they don't vote APC? We talked about the peace accord earlier, and we said it's not enough for the people at the top to sign peace accord. You should be able to communicate your stand to your followers, to your supporters. You should be able to communicate your stand. Tell them that this is how you want your campaign to go. You don't want any controversies like this, because this is not good at all. Asking people to vacate or to relocate from the state or vote APC. Everyone has a right to vote any political party of their choice. Yes, we have freedom to vote whomever you want to vote, free of threats, intimidation, or whatever. This is absolutely condemnable. All right, so that's on page 3 of The Guardian, and we have turn economic gains into jobs and higher purchasing power. VP charges NEC. Turn economic gains into jobs and higher purchasing power. VP charges NEC. Purchasing power has been on the news lately. Yesterday it was also Atiku talking about purchasing power, and today the vice president is also talking about purchasing power. It just brings back memories of the president saying he would reduce the purchasing power, and we know what we got. Nigeria to strengthen defense pact with Saudi Arabia and Bangladesh. Nigeria to strengthen defense pact with Saudi Arabia and Bangladesh. And that's on the news, page 5 of The Guardian. Report claims 7,827 Nigerians abducted and 7.78 billion naira ransom paid in just 1 year. Just 1 year. That's on the news, page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. IGP deploys AIG Zone 7 to Niger over abducted worshippers and others. That's on page 30. And we have hoodlums storm Ondo Assembly amid plot to impeach Speaker. This is just, it's even so embarrassing to read. Federal government raises $1.4 billion for electricity transmission amid vandalism and repayment crisis. Reports of vandalism, I don't know how to even discuss them, because we already have issues of epileptic power supply, and then once in a while we still get reports. I'm sure that if you live in Nigeria, maybe one time in your neighborhood you must have gotten a report that something was stolen from your transformer, so you will have to come together to replace it, or something is missing and you have to replace it. That's the vandalism we are talking about. It's definitely probably somebody that lives it's probably somebody that lives in the area that has just organized people, and then they move it. You vandalize these properties, and then people have to suffer for it and maybe even pay for it. With what we are already going through in the country, it's just too much. We just have to find a way to cut down some of these crimes. Subsidy saving, governors reject blame as Atiku insists on mismanagement. All right, let's move on to the Vanguard, where we have NFF board resignation. Tinubu directs comprehensive football reform. NFF board resignation. Tinubu directs comprehensive reform, for football. And it says, I stepped down for love of our country. That's coming from Guzel. He says he stepped down for love of his country. How patriotic. Confirms Vanguard's report. Guzel others should be probed. That's coming from Ikana. Destruction of Nigeria's football. Shameful, Owolabi says, and we have his resignation provides opportunity for thorough cleanup. That's coming from Odegbami. And we have Baku points way forward once against recycling their mentors. And we have NSC splits over choice of normalization committee chair. All of this you can find on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. And we have 756 cases in 7 months. Experts seek tougher action against Nigeria's sexual violence. 756 cases in 7 months. This is quite high. This means that in a month we are getting over 100 cases if we have 756 cases in 7 months, cases of reported sexual violence. We're not even talking about the cases that were probably not reported. These are the reported cases. We have to find a way to end sexual violence in Nigeria, or maybe reduce it to like the barest minimum. It shouldn't even be heard of. Well, still on the Vanguard, we have Nigeria's economy stabilizes. Okay, that's coming from the NEC. They're saying that Nigeria's economy has stabilized. It says Nigeria's economy stabilizes. That's just the announcement. All right, congratulations to Nigeria as our economy stabilizes on paper. Okay, we have desperate politicians can't be trusted. That's coming from CSOs, and that's on the 2027 Peace Accord. It says desperate politicians can't be trusted. It's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Fuel hike, Labour CSOs accuse federal government and operators of gang up. Fuel hike, Labour CSOs accuse federal government operators of gang up and exploitation. We have a decry regulatory failure. Consumer protection agencies, others need to protect Nigerians now. That's coming from CISLAC. And we have why fuel price is high. Ipman is speaking. And we have crude oil imports hit 2.39 million metric tons across Lagos ports in August. That's on page 14 of the Vanguard. Flood. Federal government alerts 915 communities and 19 states at critical risk. And we also have 14 billion naira road contract. Umahi fumes, orders arrest of Heartland MD. All that you can find on the Vanguard newspaper. All right, finally, let's move to the Nation newspaper where we have where we have federal government states to cut transportation cost from October 1. Federal government states to cut transportation cost from October 1. I cannot wait because this affects me a lot. You start a job and you work or you have a business that you're running. Before you know what happens, price of transportation increases, price of transporting your goods increase, price of getting to your business place increases, and at the end of the day, you now have to struggle so much, and you cannot even afford a normal life at the end of the day, because it seems like transportation is taking up a whole chunk of your earnings. Maybe you're a private employee and you've been working at the company for a while, and then initially you're paying a normal transport. Before you know it, something happens and then transportation goes up, and then it goes up again, it just continues to go up, and it hardly comes down. And once it just goes up, it's very difficult to come down. I remember my area just recently, I used to go just 200 naira from one point to the other. Before we knew what was happening, it was increased to 300, and now it's at 400. It's not nice at all. If you calculate all of this transport and then other expenses that you have to pay, you find out that, the standard of living, it just keeps getting high. Yet we get on paper that everything is getting fine, everything is going on well in Nigeria. Transportation cost is a major issue. If this can be worked, and I think every other thing would be affected, because the farmers transporting their goods to the market, the traders in the marketplaces, it affects everyone, even the final consumers. So if the cost of transportation is worked on, if it gets stable, if it gets normalized a bit, if it just reduces a bit, I think it could go a long way. That's what I think, but let's see. I hope it's not just one other promise that we get, because it's election season. This is a time they want to say things that Nigerians want to hear, things that would move us to feel, oh, they're actually working, they are doing something, they're actually working on something. We just have to give them time. Let's give them more time. Let's be a little bit more patient to see if we'll get it. And then they're talking about using CNG, saying we have agreed that cheaper fuel should result in cheaper fares, says Tinubu. We'll see how that goes. All right, and still on the Nation, we have lawyers decry poor planning choice of guest at NBA confab. Lawyers decry poor planning choice of guests. at NBA Confab. I actually saw a video on the internet where one speaker, while he was sitting, as soon as he was introduced, some of the lawyers began to, not most of them, some of the lawyers began to exit the hall, probably because they were not interested in having that kind of person speak to them. But even though at the end of the day he spoke, well, he did speak well to my, yes, just my opinion. He did speak well, but not everyone gave him that time, or not everyone was patient enough to not judge the book by its cover. Well, it's not even about judging the book by its cover. This is someone that we've known his stand on certain issues. So yes, you can choose to like or not like the person. All right, we have Nigerian stock market gets global upgrade. Good news. And as it says, FTSE rates Nigeria higher. Fantastic news. All right, Tinubu orders football reform as NFF president resigned, and China imports $2.3 billion goods from Nigeria. That's a good one. That's a good one. And it's on page 8 of the Nation newspaper. 668,000 meters installed to end estimated billings. 668,000 meters installed. Compared with how many million Nigerians that we have that's presently connected to electricity, 668,000. Yes, I'm sure that others are already still connected, but we still have to do a whole lot more. We have thugs stall Ondo speakers. This report again. Okay, NEC okays moderation on interest rates as it says target is acceleration of growth in agric and non-trade services. And finally, we have Council of Legal Education accuses varsities of violating law admission quota. Okay, that's what we have there. So we've taken a couple of stories this morning, and yes, we talked about the strategic meeting that was held between the president and APC governors, a 2-day strategic meeting in Aso Rock, and the issue has been the Presidential Campaign Council list, saying that there is drama over controversial names and the party may drop some chieftains as the list undergoes review. We had that on the Punch newspaper, and on the Nation we had the CNG buses rolling out its cheaper fuel and saying that cheaper fuel would mean cheaper fares. That is what we are hoping for. We do want that. If the CNG rollout actually works by October, that's going to be like the first direct relief many Nigerians will feel from subsidy removal. But of course, we've had promises like this before. It's the usual. The question is, for us in Delta, will Asaba Tricycle, will Asaba Keke and bus fares actually drop? That's what we are interested in, not just promises. Okay. And also this morning, we talked about the security issue where a report claimed that 7,828 Nigerians were abducted and 7.78 billion naira ransom paid in 1 year. That's a really staggering amount. And in Ondo, how thugs stormed the State Assembly to foil the Speaker's impeachment, and the IGP now deploying an AIG to Niger State over abducted worshippers. So many matters on insecurity in the country. We do have to do better. We have to do way better. All right, and that's how we wrap it up on the show this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Brief. Well, I told you earlier that this would be our last edition for the week, but don't worry, Monday is just around the corner. By this time again on Monday, I'll be here on the Daily Brief. It's been marvelous, Akbe. Keep listening to Big Heart Radio 92.1 FM Asaba. Bye for now.